Our guest speaker, first one is Tom Horne. Tom? 10 minutes.
The governor of Arkansas hit a bullseye when she said, we're in a war between the normal and the crazy. And I am the only statewide official who's fighting against the crazy. As an example, I'm fighting in court to keep biological boys out of girls' sports. And fighting as best I can to keep biological boys out of girls' bathrooms, showers, and locker rooms. I'm going to do a quick detour from talking about issues to mention to you that in order to run for re-election in 2026, I need 10,000 signatures, which is a huge job. So we're starting early. Thank you for those of you who've signed. For those of you who haven't, my wife and my friends are going to come down the aisles with boards. Raise your hand while I'm talking, and they'd love to get your signature. And if you want copies of petitions, they can give those to you. They have a lot of extras if you can circulate. So in terms of the fight in court on boys and girls sports, the Arizona legislature passed a prohibition. 2 New York law firms, one of which represented gays and one of which represented lesbians, filed a lawsuit to declare the law unconstitutional. They named 4 defendants. I was one. The Athletic Association was one, and there are 2 schools. The other 3 defendants all conceded, saying they agree with the plaintiff, even the Athletic Association. I'm the only defendant to defend that lawsuit. And the Attorney General refused to defend me. Her job is to defend state laws, which this was, and to defend state departments, of which I'm one. And she said she didn't do it because she had a conflict. Disagreeing with me is not a conflict. A conflict would be if you had represented the party before. But merely disagreeing is not a conflict. When I was Attorney General, I defended bills I did not agree with, because that was my duty. The Attorney General we have has no idea what her duties are. So I have to spend education money on a lawyer to keep the boys out of the girls' sports, but I think you'll agree with me, it's money well spent. Dennis Willinchek, who does a lot of Republican causes. When I was elected, we adopted a mission statement, and the mission statement is that we are a service organization dedicated to raising academic outcomes and empowering parents. So how do we raise academic outcomes? I've got 15 initiatives to do that. But noteworthy is this: we have to get rid of distractions and have teachers teach their subjects bell to bell. And so what are these distractions? Critical race theory. The biggest philosophical divide in the country today, I believe, and the most interesting one, is those of us who believe in individual merit, regardless of race, sex, or anything else, and those who believe that racial entitlements should prevail and disregard merit. And if they succeed, we will become a mediocre country, we'll become a third world country, and China will be calling the shots. Imagine a world like that. So we've got to get rid of this poisonous philosophy, critical race theory, DEI, in all of its names, and get the teachers to focus on teaching reading, writing, history, science, and the arts. And then the third part of our mission statement is to empower parents. So I have been the principal defender of empowerment scholarship accounts. This enables parents to choose the school that is best for their child. And every time somebody attacks it, the press comes to me to defend it, and I'm happy to do it, and I do it aggressively. And I give them as an example families that have, say, 3 children, 2 of whom are doing just fine in the local neighborhood school, but one's needs are not being met by the local neighborhood school. So they find a school that does meet the child's needs, and who could be so heartless as to say they don't have a right to do that? Only people who are so immersed in ideology that they lose sight of what's best for kids. So as long as I am in office, I will be fighting for empowerment scholarship accounts so parents can make the choice for their own children. And then we have a Trojan horse for DEI called social emotional learning. And you know, my heroes are biology teachers who love biology, history teachers who love history, and so on. And they want to teach their subjects bell to bell because they love their subjects. But they complained to me that when I was, before I got elected, they complained to me that they couldn't because under the prior administration regime of social emotional learning, the administrators forced them to play dumb games with the kids, and which I think is terrible. And you know, our philosophy is every instructional minute is precious. I got a letter from a teacher in the Phoenix Union School District who wrote to me that the students hadn't learned anything in the last 10 days because they spent 10 days under social emotional learning talking about their identities. And she wondered, why do they want her to, why do they want the kids to be dumb and uneducated? She couldn't understand why they wanted that. I don't understand it either. And we are going to fight against social emotional learning just as we're fighting against critical race theory. And then we have to fight against inappropriate sexual materials. Yes. Now, people who are against us confuse censorship with appropriate instructional materials. Insisting on appropriate instructional materials is a key duty of the schools. It's not censorship. Censorship would be you have a bookstore, you want to sell something, and they put you in jail for it. And we're all against that. We all believe in the First Amendment. But in the schools, it is the duty of the schools to be sure that the materials are appropriate. So the first thing I did when I took office, the first minute when I took office, I unplugged something called Queer Chat. Did anybody here not know what Queer Chat is? Okay, so I'll tell you. Under my predecessor, Kathy Hoffman, they used state resources to put something on the official state website that kids could join it without telling their parents. They put in intimate details about themselves, their address, and intimate details as well, which will be on the internet forever. And then they would chat with what is called queer chatters, who are volunteers, not licensed people, so we'll never know how many predators became queer chatters. If I were a predator, I'd want to be a queer chatter. And then they say, if you want to escape, they have an escape button. So if the parents are walking by and they see what the child is doing, they push the escape button and they think they're on Google. And that's a violation of law, because Arizona law says you cannot encourage students or children to keep things from their parents. So we believe in parent entitlement, and we are going to fight for the rights of parents, and we destroyed Queer Chat, and we're after every case of inappropriate sexual materials. I couldn't believe the kind of perversions that people have brought into our schools. We need to get them out of there. Thank you all very much.